So many years ago, when I first started talking about contracts for a living rather than just writing them, a guy came up to me after my talk and said, "Oh, Tiff, I wish that I'd met you 5 years ago." I said, "Why? What happened 5 years ago?" And he said, "Well, I have a very successful business and I thought it was time to expand by franchising. And so I went to our solicitor to ask him if he'd put a franchise agreement together for me. And he's a good bloke, Dave," said this guy. He's a really good bloke. I said, "What happened? Did Dave not write your contract?" He said, "No, Dave wrote me a really hefty franchise agreement. It's like this, really thick." I said, "Yeah, I know what happened next." No one would sign it, would they? Because you know what franchise agreements are like. They're usually horribly one-sided in favour of the franchisor. Franchisees be damned. I bet nobody had signed the thing. He said, No, actually, I've got 5 franchisees signed up." I said, "Okay, so what's your problem? It sounds like this has all gone swimmingly." He said, "Well, last weekend, nice sunny weekend, I thought I'm going to sit out in the garden. I'm going to read this contract." I said, "What do you mean you're going to read it? Yeah, you've had 5 franchisees signed up. You didn't read it first?" I said, "No," he said, "I told you, Tiff, it's a really thick contract." I was "Okay, so what happened next?" He said, "Well, I was reading through the contract page after page." He said, "Loads of stuff about keeping your stock at an appropriate temperature. It's all got to be properly refrigerated." I said, "Well, that's what franchise agreements are all about. They've got to have lots of operational detail to make sure all the franchisees run their businesses in exactly the same way. Protects the brand. Really valuable to everybody, franchisor and franchisees alike." He said, "Yeah," he said, "I got to the end and I realised this was a franchise agreement for a burger chain." I said, "Oh, okay. So what is it that you sell then?" He said, "Shoes." Which is the most worrying part of this true story? Is it the fact that Dave, the solicitor, took our guy's money for basically taking some template agreement off the shelf, blowing the dust off and changing the names? Is it the fact that our guy didn't bother reading a contract that he'd had written for him before giving it out to 5 other counterparties to sign? Or is it the fact that 5 people had signed this pile of rubbish and handed over a big wad of cash and been running their franchise agreement, presumably without even looking at it? Because if they had, they'd have realised that it was for a totally different kind of business. Who knows? All we do know is ultimately it's up to you to make sure the contracts you sign in your business make sense. You can't subcontract it, no matter how much you pay your lawyer. Ultimately, it's up to you to be sure that the agreements reflect what's happening in reality, because otherwise, if the sticky stuff hits the fan, it's going to be as much use to you as a chocolate teapot. I hope you have enjoyed our story time on 2 Minute Tuesday. If you've got any questions or comments or want to share any experiences, please do pop them in the comments down below or get in touch through the usual channels. Bye for now.